Of the authorities in charge of the reconstruction of Old Providence Island, which was 98% affected by Hurricane Iota, they expect to complete the reconstruction process in 2022. The progress of these works depends on the tourist reopening of the municipality as well as the economic reopening of the sister islands.
For this weekend, it is expected the arrival of a new computerized tomography equipment for the Social State Enterprise Departmental Hospital. This is why we connect at this time with the Secretary of Health, who tells us a little about this arrival. Secretary, good evening. And first of all, how was it possible to acquire this equipment?
The process of acquiring a new CAT scanner was because we have a deficiency in the diagnostic capacity of the patients in the hospital. We have not had a renewal in terms of computerized tomography for many years, since the CT that is currently in operation is an 8-slide CT that is available in the hospital. And since we came to the administration, it was planned to acquire a new CT for the hospital, among other items and equipment.
And it is also important to mention to the community how the resources for this new computer equipment was acquired.
This CT scanner was planned to be acquired with our own resources, but due to everything that happened with the pandemic, we had to redirect the resources to address the pandemic. And in December 2020, we presented a royalties project that fortunately was approved and is in execution. The CT scanner that will be received is one of the latest. It is a 64-slide technology, which will allow us to improve the diagnostic capacity of our hospital. And that will allow us also to reduce referrals to the interior of the country for these types of procedures. It is included in this contract that went out for public bidding and was awarded in October. It also includes the installation as well as the training of the personnel and maintenance for 1 year, which is covered by the warranty.
Secretary, on the other hand, will this be the beginning of the arrival of new tools and machines for the hospital infrastructure?
Yes, since we now have our departmental social state enterprise, they can formulate investment projects aimed at meeting the needs of the hospital, and we, through the Health Secretariat, will provide support and endorsement to see the investment in the biennial investment plan according to the needs. It is valid to highlight that in this administration, we have noted these initiatives of investment projects in health that had not been given in the other years, but we have tried to comply with the biennial plan and go out to manage the necessary resources to invest in the health of our department.
Thank you very much, Secretary, for your time, and we will be attentive to the arrival of this new CT scanner. And in other news, the doctor attacking events that took place on Wednesday at the departmental hospital breaks the silence. The young Rizal gave Teleislas News her version of the events.
In the process of recovery psychologically and physically, the doctor assaulted in the hospital by apparently the relative of a patient who had died the same day. Through a phone call, Norma Esther Walters recounted.
Everything happened in the hospitalization and internal medicine service on the 4th floor of the hospital. I was making the report of a patient who had died about an hour before the event occurred. While I was on the 2nd floor printing the report of the deceased patient, I received a phone call from the head nurse saying, "Code blue, doctor, code blue. The patient in room 411.
Immediately, the doctor rushed to room 411, where she found a nurse performing CPR maneuvers and started all the necessary procedure to save the life of the 79-year-old woman with a respiratory failure due to COVID-19 infection, chronic renal failure, hypertension, diabetes, who was in the intensive care unit and required tracheotomy. A patient with several comorbidities with high mortality risk.
Aproximadamente a las 4:50, 5 de la
Approximately at around 4:55 in the afternoon, I go to the door of the room where I meet the son of the deceased patient. I gave him the information of what we did, what was within our reach, but unfortunately the patient did not come out of the cardiac arrest. He immediately started screaming, swearing, and cursing that it was our fault. Then the sister came to us to ask if her sister had passed away. When I started to tell her with the same words I told the son before, right as I finished, the lady hit me in the face. Then the nurses pulled me into the room.
According to the doctor, she was threatened by the relative of the woman who died. She was physically and verbally assaulted. Norma Walter Reeve added that she tell her story so that these acts of physical and verbal violence do not happen again against her person or other doctors of the health personnel. It is worth mentioning that Teleislas News communicated with the relative of the deceased patient who, in the midst of their mourn for the loss of their loved one, expressed that they look forward to the possibility of telling their version of the events once they overcome their mourning.
And after this event, the Departmental Social State Enterprise today highlighted through a statement rejection towards aggression against health personnel. The community also showed its support with messages of encouragement and strength to the assaulted doctor through social media.
The deputy scientific manager of the departmental hospital also made her voice heard. She expressed her rejection for violence against the medical mission, health personnel, infrastructure, vehicles, and elements that are essential for the optimal care of patients admitted to the medical center.
Desde la departamental queremos.
From the Departmental State Social Enterprise, we want to send a vehement and forceful message rejecting any aggression against the medical mission. What is the medical mission? We consider the medical mission the sick, the wounded, the infrastructure of the hospital, and all the medical and health personnel, including ambulances and all the secondary staff that provides health services. That is what is considered as the medical mission, which aims to save lives.
According to Palacio, the doctor is in state of anxiety as a result of the experience, and the medical infraction reported have already been made to the Ministry of Health and the CRUE, and the assaulted doctor has already filed the respective complaints.
The community was shocked by the event and equally rejected the response of aggressors against the health official as they called for calm, tolerance, and respect in moments of desperation.
Con cordura, porque lógicamente
They must gather their wits because logically the staff is there to help us in these moments. But there are people who, more than pain, what we feel is the desire to live with violence and instilling anger. And those are issues that do not help in any way. Plus, logically, here in San Andres, the health system is not the best. But the staff are not to blame because they are not the governors or leaders of the health system.
No estuvo bien, por un lado no estuvo bien.
It was not right. On the one hand, it was not right. You have to think before you act. That's the truth. But the truth is that it shocked me.
We invite these types of people not to assault the doctors who are on duty because they are not to blame for this situation. Unfortunately, we heard that there was an accident with the doctor, and we invite people to stop this from happening. We have to respect the health personnel who are the ones who are on duty every day to take care of the health of the islanders.
Que no se argumenta para nada. Eso.
There is no argument about this. It is not justifiable at all. It is disrespectful even to the doctor because the doctor is not to blame for their loss.
It's something very negative to raise today, according to the situation. Because somebody didn't know somebody, doctor can't get them, keep them living then. So I feel like it's something very negative. Never better the situation.
The community was shocked by the event and equally rejected the response of aggressors against the health official as they called for calm and tolerance and respect. And as we continue in other news, let's remind you that this news agency will keep its cameras available for any statement from the relatives of the deceased. In other news, the Tourism Secretariat will be in charge of the logistics to receive the cruise ships that will arrive to the department during the month of February.
Next February 18 and 25th, 2 cruise ships will be arriving to the island of San Andres. This is thanks to the tourism promotion efforts made by the departmental government during the last months.
Hemos logrado participar en diferentes ferias como...
We have managed to participate in several fairs such as Miami Free, where we were able to participate and raise awareness of many of the cruise agencies. So we received the first cruise, which will repeat next February the 18th. And we have a new one that has just confirmed this morning. It is the Sea Voyager, a small cruise ship that will also arrive at our department on the 25th of this month. So far that we have in terms of tourism through tourist ships.
The Secretary of Tourism, Jonathan Taylor, qualified as positive for the economy of the archipelago the reactivation of the arrival of cruise ships to the department.
Bueno, sin duda alguna...
Without a doubt, there are tourists that come with a certain profile that come not to exploit all the resources of the department, but to learn about the gastronomic and cultural richness of the department, which undoubtedly helps a lot to the tourism providers.
Foreign tourists will be able to enjoy the gastronomy, dances, music, and other typical traditions of the island community during their stay in the archipelago.
And in order to continue reducing the rates of cigarette and liquor smuggling, the departmental government reactivated its anti-smuggling program.
The departmental government, through the Finance Secretariat with the support of the Departmental Federation, signed the Act of Reactivation of the Anti-Smuggling Program, which seeks to detect illegal products such as alcohol and cigarettes. These officials will be conducting inspections of businesses engaged in these activities.
An agreement was resigned with the operators who work with the anti-smuggling program. Those activities we were developing in previous years, we are going to continue with the program, the training and the publications of all those things. So we already have a staff that is working on that.
The Secretariat of Finance reports that the first inspection of this 2022 was made to a warehouse with 25 boxes of cigarettes, which provided evidence of the legality of the product. In the coming days, different businesses located in the tourist sectors will be inspected by the anti-smuggling group.
Now we continue with Millicent O'Neill and the news of the municipality of Old Providence and Santa Catalina.
Good evening to all our viewers. This is the most relevant information from Old Providence and Catalina. During the morning hours, the mayor, together with several local authorities, met with the tourism service providers to agree on a new date for the opening to tourism, which is established will be in June.
Old Providence will no longer officially open to tourism during Easter week. The new opening date is June 23rd, as announced by the mayor during a meeting with tourist service providers.
We have 2 dates, an official opening on June 23rd of this year, and it is the day of Old Providence in the commemorative day of our island, and a date to carry out a pilot opening in Easter week for the diving centers.
At the moment, they are studying the different variants to make possible a pilot opening in the month of April.
For that date, we have to have guaranteed the operation of the hyperbaric chamber. We have to have guaranteed the supply of public services, aqueduct, cleaning, especially water for these tourists that would enter, and a series of activities that we would have to have guaranteed from the local level in order to allow this pilot test.
On the other hand, the representative of the diving shops explained that for them the situation is already critical.
We're ready for open long time. We guarantee that we can make enough reservation and guarantee where the people will stay and guarantee that they will get water and those things. But like they don't have that in phone, if we wait to have everything 100% ready, I feel like we will never open because nothing made 100% ready.
It is important to highlight that the municipality has been closed to tourism since March 22nd of 2020.
And on the other hand, a fire in Maracaibo and a forest fire in Split Hill in less than a week sets off the alarms due to the drought season that the municipality is entering.
In recent days, there was a fire on Split Hill and another one yesterday in the section of Maracaibo. In spite of the restrictions that are in place in the municipality, the community continues to light fires.
They told me that some guys were cleaning up there and they set it on fire. I don't know why they do that. There is a lack of sense of belonging because people should realize the drought on the mountains. We are without water. On the other hand, yesterday we were carrying water to Ketlina and a person shoot a flare gun just because they are the rude boys on the island, and it fell on a tree and set it on fire.
Once again, the fire chief requests authorities to look for alternatives to mitigate these actions that cause these types of fires.
Those people who like to burn, give them a fine. I don't want to say that it should be money because not everybody has money, but there are ornamental improvement works to do. What is an ornamental improvement? You need a street to be cleaned, garbage to be picked up, park benches to be painted. Put them to do that, and if they can't do it, give them a fine. That is what I ask from the government. It is only the way.